And you wouldn't think like that the rest of the body parts and all that stuff would be the grossest part, but picturing 11 pounds of human hair, nah, I'm out.
Well, it's
That's
like,
too much.
yeah.
Isn't that so gross? Like, but that's so much hair. Healthcare horrors. Murder. Are you good? Now that we've got it settled, I want you to be able to focus
Yes.
on the story and not the technicalities.
Yep. I think we should be good. We're rolling. Okay, so welcome back to another episode of Healthcare Horrors.
My name is Alicia Carosella, and I'm your veteran training and development specialist. And today we have a guest on. Joining us is...
Hey, it's Elyse Woods. I'm a recruiter at the Dallas office, and I'm excited to be here.
Heck yeah. It's exciting to have someone remote in. The only other time we've ever had a guest, she was in the office with us. So this is a little new. I'm Ashley. I'm a brand specialist, and today I'm on the knobs doing some producing.
our knobs guy pieced out on us today. He couldn't join us, so...
Dolan.
We're coming for you, Dolan.
Yeah, you picked a heck of a day to be ill, but that's okay. Just get better.
For sure.
Oh, yeah. I was going to go over who we did last time.
Oh, yeah. Who did we do last time?
So last time we talked about Donald Harvey. He was a killer orderly and nurse assistant. So that was kind of a crazy story. They're all kind of crazy.
They really are.
Kidding. Elyse, are you excited to talk about murder?
I am. I love this kind of stuff, so I'm super excited.
Yes. And all of the French terms, we'll see how we do with it.
Like in my head, I can say them. I hear them in my head, but when I go to articulate them, oh man, I sound dumb. But all right. Today we're going to talk about Marcel Petiot. That's how we've decided that we're going to pronounce his last name.
Yes.
So he was born January 17th of 1897. And as usual, I like to go over the Zodiac Sign. He's a Capricorn, which means he's ambitious, hardworking, and enterprising, but lacks the drive to act and confront challenges and are often lost in a world of actual or perceived barriers.
Boy, is he ambitious.
He does a lot of things.
Yeah.
So he was born in Auxerre, France, and he was the son of Félix Irene Mustiole Petiot, an employee of the French Postal Service in Auxerre. And his wife is Martha Marie Constance Josephine Bourdon. A lot of names here. Mm-hmm. So Petiot demonstrated his intelligence very early in his life and displayed drastic behavioral problems in school. He was suspended multiple times before he could even finish his education. So Petiot had several issues as a child and was diagnosed with mental illness after he was ordered to undergo psychiatric evaluation for criminal activities in his youth.
Yeah. I think one of the things he did, he damaged a post box.
Probably.
Oh my gosh. I know he got charged with mail theft and damaging public property. And then, the court ordered him psychic evaluation. Such a young age. I don't know.
So,
what's up?
He started early.
Yeah.
Yes. So when he was 11 years old, he took his father's gun to school and fired it in the class. He also asked a female student at school to have sex with him, all at the age of 11. So then he became a teenager. He vandalized a post box and then as a result was charged with causing damage to public property and theft and was subsequently compelled to go through psychiatric evaluation. They discovered that he had mental illness and then all the charges against him were dropped. So on March 26, 1914, a psychiatrist concluded that Petiot was mentally ill and then no one cares, I guess. Nothing happens, and he completes his education at a special academy in Paris in 1915.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at an early age, he basically showed all of the signs of becoming a serial killer. There was animal cruelty, bedwetting, the weird interest in sex at a young age, and I don't know, talking about sex with kids at school. Like, that's not okay. Showing them photos and...
And this is like not in any order, but eventually Petiot does marry a woman named Georgette Leblay in June 1927, and they have a son together, and his name is Gerhardt, and he's born in 1928. But back to what Petiot's up to in World War I. So World War I starts, and Petiot enlists in the French army in January of 1916. He took part in the Second Battle of Aisne, during which he was injured and exposed to gas. After this, he developed symptoms of a mental breakdown, and as a result, the French government arranged for him to stay at various rest homes, but he started stealing army blankets, morphine, and other army supplies, as well as wallets, photographs, and letters of fellow soldiers. He was soon apprehended and sent to jail in Orleans. So he's like not doing great. But also, I think maybe at this time they didn't have stipulations for like why you couldn't join the military.
He is so mentally unstable and he keeps getting drafted back in the military. Like, that's probably not helping, you know?
No, for sure not. So while he was at a psychiatric hospital in Fleury-les-Aubrais, the doctors concluded that he was suffering from various mental illnesses, which, duh. I don't know how many diagnoses you need, but he was sent back to the front line of World War I in June of 1918. 3 weeks later, he received his transfer papers after he allegedly shot himself in the foot. But by September, he had become a member of a new regiment. Another diagnosis followed that, and the French army let him retire with a disability pension. So it's probably for the best.
Yeah, finally. I mean, having a mental breakdown and shooting yourself in the foot.
Stealing things, going to jail, but hey, you can go to the front line.
Constantly getting released from charges on account of being mentally unstable or criminally insane, but...
So,
a lot going on.
Yeah, a lot going on. So, when the war ended, Petiot enrolled in the accelerated education program that was intended for war veterans. He earned his medical degree in 8 months.
This part is crazy.
Yeah, 8 months. Don't you have to go like 8 years to get a medical degree?
Instead of like going to an asylum.
Because it was 1918.
That's true. Instead of going and seeking mental help, he wants to treat mental patients.
An 8-month medical school is a little quick.
Yeah.
Insane for anybody. Insane for people who are not like mentally ill, challenged, whatever.
Mm-hmm. I honestly don't even know how long is like nursing school on average. I'm not sure.
So I think you get like, you can do it in 4 years if you get your associates. But if you're doing your bachelor's, it might be 4 or more. Yeah. I don't know. Truthfully, I think you get most of your credits at a general institution, general college, and then you go do like 2 years for nursing. And that's just for nursing, but you know, times have changed.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. So he joins the mental hospital in Évreux as an intern. So now he's interning at the mental hospital as a doctor. So in December 1921, he earns his medical degree and relocates to Villeneuve-sur-Yonne, where he not only took money from the government medical assistance fund, but also from his patients. So things are still not going great for him. I mean, he's a doctor, but he's still not a good person. Petiot garnered a dubious reputation for his medical practice in Villeneuve-sur-Yonne. He distributed narcotics, conducted illegal abortions, and committed theft. However, he won the Villeneuve-sur-Yonne mayoral election in 1926. So now he's the mayor.
Well, and before that, did you talk about the state medical assistant thing? I might have like...
Nope, I said that he took funds from them.
Okay, yeah, he would enroll his patients secretly for state medical assistance. So not only would he get paid from his patients, but he would also get paid from the state. And that's just like the beginning of all of these schemes.
Oh, he's a schemer.
Oh, yeah.
Scheming. So during his tenure in office as the mayor, he embezzled a ton of money from town funds as well. However, he was soon discovered by his constituents, and they reported him to the prefect of Yon Departement. In August 1931, he was suspended from his position as mayor. But he was the mayor from 1926 to 1931. So then, despite being suspended from his position as mayor, there were plenty of people who still supported him, and the village council decided to show their solidarity with him. So then he wins the election to be a councillor of Yon Departement. So in 1932, he was once more facing allegations of theft, this time of electric power from the village. I don't know how he's stealing electricity, but when there's a will, there's a way. So then his council seat was taken away from him, and then he had to relocate to Paris, which is where we start a new chapter of crimes for Petiot. So
Yes.
in 1940, Nazi Germany defeated France and occupied the country. They began to force the French citizens to draft for labor in Germany. Petiot created fake medical disability certificates for people who were being sent to Germany. Furthermore, he helped the laborers who were coming back. In July 1942, a court found him guilty of overprescribing narcotics and ordered him to pay 2,400 francs fine. In later years, he would claim that he was involved in the French resistance during the occupation. He also said that he created secret women's weapons that eliminated German targets but did not leave any forensic evidence behind. So he also claimed that he set booby traps all over Paris, had regular meetings with Allied commanders, and collaborated with Spanish anti-fascist groups. So although none of these claims have ever been proven, a former U.S. spy master named Colonel John F. Grombach did mention him as a World War II source in 1980. And this is all the stuff he was doing on the side of committing murder.
I don't even know why he was committing or setting up booby traps and stuff. Was it to help the resistance?
I think maybe he made it up.
Okay.
I don't necessarily believe him. What do you think, Elyse?
Honestly, this guy sounds super busy. I wouldn't put anything past him.
He is really busy.
Yeah.
For someone who claims to be mentally unstable and is unfit for trial and charges are constantly getting dropped and stuff, it sure seems like he knows what he's doing, I think.
I would say he is doing a heck of a job at coordinating these schemes.
A master manipulator to get out of all this stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
We've never met anybody like that.
Well, and when he was released from the military, he got the pension for mental illness and disability pension, basically. And while he was going through all of this stuff, doing all these things, he's constantly going through psychic reevaluation and wanted to make sure that he also kept that disability pension, even though he's a doctor and went to school and is a mayor. Money, very money motivated.
I feel like nothing kind of went hand in hand either. All of his diagnosis and then all he was able to keep. I don't know. It just doesn't really add up either. Mm-hmm. Maybe he knew someone that could get him out of all this stuff.
I know, right? A common theme that we've seen with these doctors is that they'll either be fast-tracked or they'll be given a ton of chances despite everyone's best judgment to not give them these chances. So there's always red flags early on, but hindsight's 20/20.
It's also you think of the times too, in the 1800s, you didn't have social media or people able to really look back at what you've done. So I feel like you could probably get away with a lot more too.
No background checks.
No.
Now we have the internet.
Yeah, times are different.
And when he started as a doctor and was performing legal abortions and stuff, who knows how many women he might have killed during that. We don't have those kinds of numbers or anything on record. Also, it was a very long time ago. Before he even became mayor and all that stuff, in 1926, he began having an affair with Louise. I don't know. I didn't take French, so here we go. Louise Delavue. I'm going to go with that. She was the daughter of one of Marcel's elderly patients. And then in May of 1926, Louise eventually just disappeared out of the blue. Neighbors confessed that they claimed that they saw Marcel loading a large trunk into his car in the middle of the night from their home. And a large trunk similar was eventually found fished out of the river months later with a body in it, but the body was too dismembered and decomposed to really identify who it was. And back then, you can't look at teeth or anything. So it was most likely poor Louise.
That might have been his actual first victim, but the police just dubbed her a runaway.
Yes, that is right. Let's see.
Another one of his schemes before we get into his murders. Yeah. I forgot. He set up a criminal activity center in Paris that involved promising victims a safe passage to Argentina and other South American countries in exchange for 25,000 francs.
Well, that's it. That's the beginning of his murder, and that is the scheme. So, yeah, let's just get into that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, let's move into World War II in the early 1940s. So the German Nazi troops began to invade the capital of France and many other countries in Europe. Meanwhile, Dr. Marcel Petiot, he decides to, quote unquote, join the resistance and thinks of this murder-for-profit scheme, codename Flytox. I don't know how he came up with that. I don't know if that means anything specific. And yes, this scheme promised safe passage to South America for 25,000 francs per person. And this included, of course, Jews, any sort of fugitives, anyone that wanted to get out of the country. When they were talking about the people that went missing, there was like a lot of pimps and their women that came up, which I thought was interesting. So yeah, it wasn't like just Jews. It was anyone that wanted to get out of the country. He would help them. So he purchased a second residence as kind of his own underground railroad where he would have these people that wanted to flee the country. He would have them show up at this residence. And of course, they would have their money ready to go to pay him, just money in general. They would have all of their valuables, jewelry, furs, etc. And he wanted them to come to this residence for inoculation before they could leave Paris, I guess. So, which if you're fleeing the country during war, like shots and stuff shouldn't be that important. You would just want to go. So Dr. Petiot would administer a shot of cyanide to a lot of these victims, at least at first, which would kill them, and he would take possession of their valuables and dispose of the bodies. So once too many bodies were being found in the river, he turned to alternative ways to get rid of the bodies by submersion in quicklime, and then he also tried incineration, which eventually gets him caught. So I was trying to look up quicklime. Do you guys know what quicklime is at all?
I know what regular lime is. Not like lime's the fruit, but like lime is what you use to like deteriorate hard substances.
Yeah. So quicklime, also known as calcium oxide, is a white caustic chemical compound infamously used during the Holocaust to sadly burn the skin of people in the concentration camps and just kind of used for torture. In this case, I believe Marcel was using it to try and dry out and break down the bodies so he could just dispose of them quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's Gestapo, which is the political police force for Nazi Germany. They eventually catch word about this Operation Flytox, that Marcel Petiot is trying to help people escape the country. And of course, Nazi Germany taking over Paris and taking over France, they don't like that. They do eventually capture Marcel. And at the time, Marcel is also working with 3 other men.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do too much digging about them.
Sure. I can tell you their names and what they did to get Marcel caught.
Okay.
So he was working with Raoul Fourier, Edmond Pintard, and René Gustave Nezonde. And they tell the Gestapo nothing besides who Dr. Eugene is, and it's Marcel Petiot, because for this whole scheme he's running, he's going by the name Dr. Eugene. So I don't think anything else comes of their involvement, but...
Yeah, that's right. He created an alias other than his... Obviously didn't want to use his real name.
Yep. So that's how the Gestapo figures out who Marcel is.
Yeah. So those 3 men get captured by Gestapo. Eventually, Marcel gets captured by Gestapo. They're tortured. Eventually, the Gestapo releases Marcel Petiot after 8 months. And then he just goes back to his...
Same thing.
Yeah, doing the same thing, Flytox. And you would think, like, if the German army is on to you about helping people flee the country, that you might want to not do that unless you want to get captured again. But he jumps right back into it. And once citizens heard that Marcel was captured by the Gestapo, they thought that they could trust him even more. Like, oh my gosh, this guy got captured by the Germans. Like, it just kind of upped his credentials, I guess.
Yeah, because they think he's a hero for the French resistance. Resistance.
So March 6th, 1944, people began complaining about a foul odor, of course, coming from the smoking chimney of Dr. Petiot's second residence, where he's been helping people flee the country. March 11th, authorities do eventually get called to this residence. And they find out that Petiot is not there because that's not his primary residence. The authorities kind of take matters into their own hands, and they do call the firefighters. Once the firefighters arrive on the scene, they enter the building and they find the source of the smell. Of course, the smell is the stench of seared flesh. There's an iron stove blazing and a pile of coal and mixed body parts and bones. He informs authorities that he is the head of a resistance group, and the dead bodies that are in his place are all Nazis or traitors of the country. So, because everyone at this point is kind of sick of the Germans, they release Marcel as kind of a hero, and they don't really look too much into him at that point. So neighbors are questioned, and they inform authorities about the constant flow of people in and out of his home, most likely just in his home, not really out.
The constant flow of them into his home.
And just disappearing, never coming out again. And there's like strange deliveries in the middle of the night, or suitcases are being taken out of the property in bulk. Marcel does have a brother, and his brother's name is Maurice, and Maurice helps him get the quicklime. So I'm assuming some of those deliveries are quicklime. I don't know if Maurice knew what he was doing, but like, what else would you need that much quicklime for? I don't know.
Well, maybe he told his brother that they're just Nazis, dead Nazis.
Yes, there you go. It's all a part of the resistance. So eventually, the French police and coroners remove 9 heads, 4 thighs, and other unidentifiable dismembered body parts. They cataloged 33 pounds of charred bone, 24 pounds of unburned fragments, 11 pounds of human hair, which, like, picturing that is so gross to me.
That was when I heard that. There was a documentary that Ashley and I both watched, and when they said 11 pounds of human hair, I was truly disgusted. And you wouldn't think like that the rest of the body parts and all that stuff would be the grossest part, but picturing 11 pounds of human hair, nah, I'm out.
Well, it's
That's
like,
too much.
yeah,
Isn't that so gross? Like, but that's so much hair.
it's a lot of hair. Like,
I
what?
can't even picture that.
Yeah. If you go get your hair cut and, like, you see your hair on the floor or whatever in a barbershop or wherever.
We're talking ounces.
I know, but I think, oh, God, that's so much, like, human hair. Gross.
But
yeah.
why didn't he burn it? If he's incinerating everything else, why is he stashing pounds and pounds of human hair? Also,
Was it like a trophy? You know how some people keep trophies whenever they do stuff like that? Maybe he just was a hair guy.
The pile of hair.
I think he was doing a lot of weird things with these bodies because, like, their scalps, they found 10 whole scalps.
Yeah.
So, like, he was taking them off. But, like, if you're just going to cut someone's head off and dismember a body, why the scalp?
Yeah.
Well, I have a lot of questions for him.
I have so many questions.
That is true. Maybe he was a hair guy. Like, he had a weird hair fetish with the human hair and scalps.
Please, no. Stop. This reminds me. I know this is totally off track and not about murder, but have you seen that? It used to be a reality show of people with, like, it's called My Strange Addiction. And this lady was eating her hair.
What?
Yeah. And, like, they found, like, a giant hairball in her intestines and they had to remove it.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure he had, like, tumors too, and it was, like, full of hair.
Mm-hmm. They were full of hair. Yep. Nasty.
This is a conversation. We could have a whole episode on this.
We really could. But it just made me think
if you do.
Yeah, right. We will.
Oh, so yeah, the 11 pounds of human hair, 10 scalps, and 3 garbage cans full of unidentifiable pieces
Of people.
of these poor people.
Yeah, and I think they said that the oldest victim was a 50-year-old man, and then the youngest was a 25-year-old woman, just based on what they could identify.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they continue searching the scene. In the garage and other areas throughout the property were pits of quicklime mixed with body parts. Corpses were found throughout the house, here and there, like in canvas bags, just really weird. There were sinks big enough to drain bodies of blood. There was also a soundproof chamber with a peephole and, like, shackles and stuff. So definitely enjoyed watching people die. And I would imagine, like, while authorities are finding this, they're probably thinking, maybe this guy, we shouldn't have let him go.
But they did.
Eventually, so while authorities are also on the scene, a telegram arrives for the authorities from Gestapo saying that Marcel Petiot is a dangerous lunatic. So if the Nazi German police force captures you, releases you after 8 months, and then notifies authorities that this guy is a lunatic, like, that's a lot of red flags. Like, the Nazis don't even want you.
Yeah, but so that's what makes the French think, like, that really he's a hero for the resistance, is because if the Germans are saying he's crazy, oh, well, then, he's an enemy to the Germans and not to us, is basically how I think that got taken.
Okay, perspective. I didn't even think about it that way.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of loopholes.
A lot of loopholes.
Yeah. They also found chloroform, strychnine, and a whole bunch of different types of narcotics in his primary residence. So they eventually do go to where he is living and search the property. But of course, him and his wife and kid aren't there, which at this point, I honestly don't even know, like, what is going on with his wife and kid. Like,
No idea.
we don't really have too much information on them other than he got married and had a son. That's about it. So it's being questioned, is he a patriot or a villain? Now Petiot is gone. Authorities are searching his slaughterhouse. They start figuring out who some of the victims or the people are. But I think that's when they realize, okay, maybe he is a bad guy, because some of these people are not, part of the German army. These are like regular people, like the 26-year-old woman. In August 1944, Marcel changes his appearance. He goes by different aliases. He eventually comes out of hiding to join. I think he's gone for like 7 months.
Yeah, not a ton of time.
Yeah. So he eventually comes out of hiding and decides to join the new French forces that are uprising against the Germans. So now he wants to get back in the military and become a hero again.
Which is a super good way to get arrested if you've been on nobody's radar for a long time.
Right. So the alias he's going by is Henri Valery. I'm going to go with that. He discovers that Marcel Petiot is being sought out for murder in the newspapers. So eventually he's the guy searching for himself. What a mess. He's also the captain of one of the French forces. So Captain Henri Valery slips under the radar until October 31st, when he does get recognized by one of his old patients at a bus station. He, with him, has tons of cash, a suitcase, 6 forms of identification, and a pistol. I don't know. Do you have anything about when he gets captured? Like, I kind of have notes on the trial and stuff, but
no, there's nothing really else. It just like goes over like his nicknames and stuff. And often he's referred to as Dr. Satan, but I think that's just like one of the random nicknames he was given, because he also went by like the Butcher of Paris, the Scalper of Etoile, the Monster of Rouleser. Like, so.
Yeah. So one of his old patients recognizes him. Eventually, authorities catch up to him, realize who he is, gets taken into custody. The trial begins on March 19th, 1946. He is faced with 135 criminal charges. He still claims that he was just a part of the resistance group killing enemies. But when actual resistance group members are questioned, like
they're like, we don't know this guy.
Yeah, they don't credit him at all. So eventually the court realized his claims are fictitious and he is a fraud.
And I have no doubt that he was mentally ill, but maybe not in the way that they are thinking. Like, I think maybe he was like sort of like a narcissist or a sociopath, like the typical thing you see of kind of these people. But in which those are things that are mental illnesses. But like anything beyond that, I think he was really just manipulating and probably faking, because he came a long way. He accomplished a lot of crime.
Yeah, I think I read something that he was diagnosed officially as like a kleptomaniac. That was like his diagnosis.
That's right. Yeah, they diagnosed him as a klepto, and he stole like the weirdest things as a klepto does, like statues, and obviously he was involved in a lot of embezzling. Yeah. But yeah, weird things. While he was a mayor, he was stealing.
Yeah, but like, when better to be a criminal than when you're in the position of power, because nobody's looking at you. I mean, they are, but they aren't.
He kind of remained like throughout that theme of having power. I mean, being a doctor, being in the military, those are all kind of things that put you in some kind of power. So, I mean, That's probably why he got away with stuff for so long too.
Yeah. So back to the trial, he's being faced with 135 criminal charges. I don't think that's all just murder. It's probably just all of like the murder and all the other things he's been doing, because he does eventually just get charged for murdering 27 victims specifically, even though it's probably way more. Let's see. He had an estimated 200 million franc, jewels, gold, etc. Just that he's accumulated over the years of doing all these schemes and killing people. And like US dollars, I don't know what that comes out as. I have no idea. You want to try and find it?
Google. I know I could just do this on my computer, but my keys are loud. I'll do it.
The ratio to franc in US dollars, but like
but that was
also,
in 19.
Yeah, where are we? 1946 or something like that. I think it was like authorities or prosecutors ask about all of the families and his victims that he supposedly safely ferried to South America, and they ask him why none of these people can be found over in South America. Of course, he has a whole bunch of excuses for each of them that they bring up, like this family, these people, they changed their name. Oh, they moved back to Paris. They don't live in South America anymore. He just had all these excuses. I think he kind of reminded me of Ted Bundy. I think he kind of tried doing his own defense during court too. Like he still had lawyers, but was still very involved. Let's see. Eventually, after everything is said and done, he does receive the death sentence for 26 counts of murder, 26 or 27 counts of murder. And he demanded retrials, but they always got denied. So before his death sentence was carried out, he admitted he was not very religious and didn't really care to see a priest, as they do for people in jail before they get executed. So I was thinking maybe that's why they called him Dr. Satan, because he was like very adamant about not being religious. I don't know. Just a thought. He said he was basically ready to just take his baggage with him. So May 25th, 1946, Dr. Marcel Petiot was beheaded at the guillotine. And yeah, that ends France's worst mass murderer in history. Unless you have anything else to add on that.
No, and I'm trying to look up these like money calculators, and honestly, it's just not worth it. Numbers are not my thing. It's worth a lot of money in today's money.
Yeah.
A lot.
200 million franc.
Mm-hmm. Well, because today, the franc compared to the U.S. dollar is 1.02 cents on the dot. So it's comparable to the U.S. dollar today. So what that was in 1946, no idea.
Yeah.
A lot of money, worth today's money, billions.
Mm.
And then he had fur and jewels and stuff too, so it was even more.
Yeah, he had a whole bunch of valuable stuff on him. So yeah, why he was called Dr. Satan, don't know. I was kind of hoping for a little more of a backstory on that, maybe with the occult or some weird stuff. But
no, I think that's just what, they named him because his crimes were really that crazy because of his, the quicklime and the soundproof chamber with the peephole and all that crazy stuff. And, like when they were writing newspapers back in the day, it was also sensational. Like that was the gossip of the day. So
it sounds like he had a lot of time on his hands and kind of set the bar for kind of all the stereotypes of serial killers. Yeah, it's crazy what he got away with and just everything kind of like looking back that led up to everything. I kind of always think of like the families, especially way back then. Like, do you think his family was like, where did he go? Like his kids, like, where's dad? Because he would just disappear so often. But I think it's crazy. I'm always so surprised when I hear, how many people they actually got away with murdering and everything. But it's good that he did get caught, because I feel like sometimes, like, I mean, maybe things don't come to surface until after they're dead or something. But
I feel like a lot of times these people get caught because part of it is like they kind of want to at a certain point.
Yeah,
I feel like because they want the recognition for it.
That's true.
Yeah.
So
he definitely would have kept going and killing had he not been caught until he wanted to be.
until he found a new scheme.
Yeah, for sure. He was full of schemes. Like, I know he even had at one point like a mistress, and he killed her and her husband. And there's definitely a lot more that we didn't cover on him, but
Yeah. When you said that he defended himself in court, I was kind of surprised. He didn't go to law school for like 3 weeks. And
yeah,
this is like the narcissistic aspect of it, though, right? Is like, I'm smarter than everybody.
Yeah. And I can get away with it.
Absolutely. Should we try and end on a positive note?
Yeah, we started trying to end things on a positive note.
And Elyse just moved. You got into a new apartment? Is that
I did.
cool?
Yeah. I'm in Dallas. Got everything moved in.
How's the recruiting life?
Busy.
Yes, I can imagine. Yeah, and the three of us all started it at the same time.
We did. We were all in the same training class, March 2020.
March 2020, and then we were all sent home. Well, Elyse, you were sent back to Texas, and then
she was. And then the rest of us got sent home.
Yeah.
On Monday when we came in.
That was crazy.
So, well, my positive thing I'll say is Forrest got in the pool for swim lessons today without a fight. He didn't cry at all. It was super great, even though it wasn't his favorite swim teacher. So I'm very proud of him for that. Elyse, what's your positive thing besides your apartment?
My dog's adjusting to the apartment, which is nice, because the minute we got here, she was barking and growling and being loud, and she is calm. She's asleep in the corner.
Good girl.
That was a win. Yeah, she's humongous.
Her name's Honey, right?
Yeah.
Honey.
Oh, what kind of dog?
She's a standard poodle.
That's right. You were showing me pictures of her in Kentucky.
So cute.
She is a cutie. Oh, man.
She's sweet.
Big ol'
We don't
baby.
have dogs. So, all dog people.
Yes, we are.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on with us. It's so fun to have a guest.
Yeah. Y'all have to come to the Dallas office so we can do a live one together.
Yeah.
Well, I think,
cool.
And actually I think that not this training class, but the training class that starts in August. I know Biddle's going down for the training class, which means me and Steph might be coming down for a little bit.
Well, speaking of Biddle, in our next episode.
Oh, yeah.
We
nice
are.
Segue.
Yeah. You like that? We are going to have Erin Biddle on here as a guest, and we are going to talk about Dr. Jack Kevorkian. So that'll be fun for those of you who don't know. He's a pathologist that was charged for assisting his patients with suicide. So that should be fun.
Fun. I know. It's like I was listening back to one of our episodes, because I listen back to them time to time. And I called one of these people like, oh, wonderful. We're going to talk about the wonderful, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, they're wonderful. Totally sarcastic, in case you didn't pick up what I'm putting down.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. Well, and don't do what Marcel Petiot would do.
Don't do it.
No, it's evil.
Yeah. Don't do all these schemes. Don't murder people.
Nope.
Don't say you're going to help them do another country.
Don't have affairs.
8 months.
Yeah, no kidding.
Cool. All right, Elyse.
Awesome.
You have a good rest of your day, and everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see ya.
Ta-ta for now.
Bye. Murder.
Thank you for listening to Healthcare Horrors, brought to you by Atlas MedStaff. Just a reminder, we are not healthcare professionals. We are just fans of true crime, talking about some of history's darkest moments in healthcare. Stay tuned, stay healthy, and stay safe.